Welcome back to Only Talk Sports. We talk sports every single day, or at least we try to. I'm Roche Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. We just passed over 400, 410, and 420 subs. Thank you guys so much for all the support, and I hope I can continue to make great content you guys will enjoy in the future. Now, the NCAA tournament and the NIT is right around the corner, and there's one team that will not be participating in it by their own choice. You have the North Carolina Tar Heels. They declined the NIT, and I'm going to go over whether I think they should have declined the NIT or whether it would have been better for them to play in that tournament. Now, North Carolina, they are a blue blood program, and they're one of the best programs in college basketball, and a lot of times when you are a program of that high esteem, you do decline the NIT because you don't want to play in it, because it's kind of humiliating in the fact that you were not able to make the NCAA tournament, and especially in North Carolina's case because they were the preseason #1 team, and you had all the starters returning back in Leaky Black, Caleb Love, Armando Bacot, and RJ Davis, and you had a really good freshman class, and you added Pete Nance through the transfer portal. There's no way that North Carolina should have missed the NCAA tournament, but alas, that's where we're at. North Carolina made the NIT, and a lot of people have mixed opinions on whether North Carolina should have played in the NIT or not. Some people are looking at that North Carolina declining the NIT is a really good decision because they're going to be able to move forward and get this bad season behind them and start looking forward to next season. Hubert Davis, he can start doing some work in the transfer portal, and he can have talks with his players on who's staying and who's going, and you already have two players in the transfer portal, and Tyler Nickel, one of the freshmen that North Carolina had in this past year's class, and you also have Justin McCoy entering the transfer portal as well. They're getting to figure out their roster quicker than other teams that are playing in the NIT are going to be able to do. So North Carolina, if you look at it from that perspective, it's a really good decision to not play in the NIT because of the fact they're going to be able to start getting some transfers in potentially earlier than other teams. They're going to be able to clear out the roster and see which ones are going to go in the NBA draft. If Armando Bacot or Caleb Love or any of the other players decide to go to the NBA draft, they're already losing Leaky Black and Pete Nance as well. So North Carolina can start looking at the roster and get things figured out for next season. And because of the fact they were the preseason #1 team and not making the NCAA tournament was kind of humiliating, not playing in the NIT kind of makes sense. But if you look at it from the other angle of them not participating in the NIT, it is kind of a cop-out because of the fact North Carolina could have played in the NIT and potentially won the whole thing because North Carolina probably would have been the best team there. And when Roy Williams was the head coach of North Carolina, one year they missed the NCAA tournament. They were eligible for the NIT, and they actually played in it. So I do think that it is kind of a bad look on Hubert Davis potentially of not playing in the NIT, but with everything that went wrong with his team, it kind of makes sense to an extent. But another reason it maybe would have benefited North Carolina to play in the NIT is some of the freshmen that didn't get to play at all this year, which I kind of think was a bad decision for North Carolina not to play their freshmen this year. They could have gotten a run in this NIT because North Carolina could have played the starters less and given Seth Trimble and Tyler Nickel and Jalen Washington and some of their other freshmen some run in the NIT to maybe prepare for next season. Now, you're going to have the whole offseason, so yeah, you don't really maybe need the NIT to really develop these players, but maybe it would have given some of these players hope for next season that they would have been able to get some run next year because Tyler Nickel's already in the transfer portal, and maybe if he had to play in the NIT for North Carolina, maybe he would have stayed, but who knows, his mind could have already been made up and it wouldn't have made a difference, so you could look at it that way as well. But North Carolina still could have tried to get things figured out in the NIT and learn how to play a style of offense that Hubert Davis wants them to play and not play the me ball that permeated the roster throughout this season, especially with Caleb Love's style of play. The rest of the team did try to play team ball, but Caleb Love was chunking up a lot of bad shots, so maybe in the NIT they could have made better decisions. But overall, if you look at North Carolina, they're a proud program, and I understand playing in the NIT would have been humiliating, and a lot of people have pointed that out. It would have been humiliating. Just move past this season, move on to next year, not play in the NIT. It makes sense. You want to get this bad season behind you. Playing in the NIT, it's a worthless tournament. You don't even have Madison Square Garden anymore, but still, if you're North Carolina, even though you had a bad season, a lot of people are probably making fun of you right now, playing in the NIT would have given you a chance to maybe run some of the freshmen, play some of the other players that did not get a lot of action this season, and maybe be able to keep some of them because now you're maybe going to lose some of the roster. And overall, I think for North Carolina, playing in the NIT is still an honor, it's still a tournament, and you maybe could have won it, and if you had been able to win the NIT, that could have still maybe salvaged the season and maybe showed that North Carolina was still a team that was capable enough of being in the NCAA tournament, which they were, but all the circumstances that I outlined in my last video of why things went wrong for North Carolina is why they didn't. But still, overall, for North Carolina, in my opinion, I think they should have played in the NIT, even though there are definitely reasons why they didn't. and the reasons are valid, and I definitely consider them for sure. And at the end of the day, it was their decision to not play in the NIT, and maybe it was the right decision with everything that happened this past season that went wrong. Maybe clean out the roster, move on to next season, get a jump on the transfer portal, find out how the roster is going to be constructed for next year, and Hubert Davis can start getting ready for next season earlier than some other teams, and maybe that could help North Carolina actually have a better season next year than playing in the NIT. But to me, I still think playing in the NIT, maybe playing some of the freshmen more, getting some more of the rotations figured out for next season as well, and maybe finally get the players to play a style of offense that Hubert Davis wanted them to play all along that they didn't play earlier on in the season. That could have all been done in the NIT. Plus, you would have been able to play on your own floor for the final time at the Dean Smith Center. You could have got your fans to be able to say goodbye to the seniors one more time and gotten some final action on your home floor. So for me, the NIT is still a really good tournament. I wish North Carolina had played in it and maybe had a chance to be able to win the NIT to still maybe salvage this past season. But also, you could look at it that they just want to move on. The season was bad and just look forward to next season and try to get things figured out. But for me, I do wish North Carolina would have played in the NIT, but I definitely can see both sides of the argument. Subscribe to the channel if you like sports content. Like this video down below. Comment down below what you think about North Carolina declining the NIT and whether you think they should have played in the NIT or not, and which decision would have benefited the Tar Heels more for next season. Follow me on Twitter as well, and I'll see you next time.